This is Black Hole, Chapter 10. Meanwhile, the old man took the fish that he was able to get out that day and went back to his home. His home wasn't one of the nice apartments in the Grand Citadel. He first had to crawl into a sewer grate, hop across a few dangerous electrified aqueducts, and ride an old mine cart for a few miles to the underground city. I say city, but it was really just a collection of cobbled together sheds, tents, and random bits of trash. The old man knew he had to see his old girlfriend, Titania. She would know what to do. The last time he saw her, she was lamenting how nobody cared that the world was falling apart because they all had what they needed to survive. She wanted the people to fight, and the people, much like the old man, were tired of fighting. He already knew how the conversation would go. He would come in, she would yell. He would tell her what he learned about the black hole, and she would laugh, her big hearty laugh, stop cooking, and tell him that she was right, that the city people were going to kill themselves and all of us with their arrogance if we didn't stop them. The old man sighed and asked if he could come in. She said yes, and as predicted, when the old man told her what he learned about the black hole, she did indeed laugh, and she did indeed remark that she was right. So what now? The old man asked. Stage a revolution? Find a way to short-circuit their plans? Titania huffed. I want to, but everyone who would have joined me has died, she said. We have the guy who is so obsessed with schedules he keeps us all fed, and the guy who hears voices from the gods who keeps us alerted to things we need to be aware of, the old man said. We survive, Titania said, but survival is not living. So now it's time for you to admit I am right, the old man said, because those people up above are hopeless. Hopeless, Tanya said. No, as much as I fought against them, I never thought they were hopeless. They are just very, very delusional. Now eat some soup. She handed the old man a cup of soup. Why do you still feed me? The old man asked. Because you're still skinny, Titania said. They both sat still as they listened to the world above. The noise, the celebration. They missed it. And the sun. They missed that too. But they had learned to survive down here. All the people who didn't fit in, those who were mentally ill or old or weak, were brought down here and saved. Some of them at birth and some at the point of being euthanized. They were offered a choice, survive or die. 1,000,000 strangers chose to survive, and so they all lived down here. Despite the darkness of it all, they chose to stay. Most of them anyway. Those who didn't want to stay were allowed to leave because down here they believed in life and freedom. And then there were the animals and plants. Most of them had been bred, genetically altered, and made docile, but there were a lot that just would not succumb to this. The great cypress vines never did adapt to the city, and the Turkish cockroach laughed when geneticists tried to modify it. The octopede was perhaps smarter than any human, and when they came onto land, they built complex cultures, but they never organized socially and never saw the point of cities. But most of all, the deer, such a symbol of peace and nobility, evaded capture, learned how to live on their own, and watched from a distance, waiting for the day that justice would come. A few were captured back in the old days, and geneticists tried to modify them, but none of these deer survived. So do you really think the people will destroy themselves? The old man asked. I don't know, Titania said. It certainly seems like a possibility, and it seems like they might take us with them. Chapter 11. Deep in the laboratory, Dr. Gavel smiled. Ever since he erased his fear sankaras, his work has been just so much more fruitful. He was always productive, always pushed through, but now there was nothing holding him back. He worked until late at night despite the rules against it because he says it's for the greater good, and continued his experiments with energy and fusion. There were 100 failed experiments sitting on the edges, but a determined look in the doctor's eyes. His assistant Ilka smiled and handed him his drink, a pure mental stimulant. You know the people are upset that you have been using so much power. They have not been able to have their VR play sessions, Ilka said. He laughed. A temporary inconvenience, he said. I used to be skeptical, but I am on the verge of figuring this out, and it is going to work this time. This time we are going to make a black hole, and the perfect utopia. She smiled. Do you need another energy drink? She asked. No, he said. I solved the quantum physics problem this morning. It won't be long now before I figure out how to create a new universe replete with solar systems orbiting stars inside a black hole, and to put us in charge of it. Ilka smiled and watched as the doctor continued to work. Meanwhile, things were quiet for the king. There didn't seem to be much for him to do, much expected of him, so he sat outside as he had the last few nights with Jamashi and just watched the sky, forgetting that he was looking at it through an advanced lens that made it strangely vibrant and iridescent. As they sat there, Jamashi pulled out a flute and began to play. It was a soft, soothing, somewhat sad song. The king was amazed. I didn't know you played, the king said. You could have played for the court, for all of our pleasure. Jamashi smiled. I never wanted to play for the court, and you never asked, so I never told you. The king smirked. As they sat there enjoying the music, they saw some movement at the edge of the kingdom. People in the forest and animals moving about quickly. The deer out in front seemingly testing the boundary. That is very odd, the king said. And Jamashi stopped playing and watched. Rocario came onto the balcony and asked them why they were hiding on the balcony. The king said they weren't hiding. They were just enjoying the night. Rocario scoffed, saying there were many better things they could be enjoying. The king then pointed to the people and animals moving about in the forest and wondered if they were testing the boundaries when they noted the power outages. Rocario scoffed again, saying the guards would take care of them, and pushed the king and Jamashi inside. What is the big deal? The king asked. Follow me, Rocario said, and the two of them did downstairs into a basement with loud music and stuffy air. Someone was trying to cover its staleness with mist and the burning of incense. Maki at the center of the room, along with 12 handmaidens and 24 lithe young dancers. She tells the king to come closer and to bring Jamashi. As they walk close, Maki disrobes, and the king looks to his side to see Jamashi is terribly nervous. His hands, which were just recently playing a flute calmly, now trembling. Maki tells them both to come and join her. The king stops and tells Jamashi to go home. Maki says the king didn't need to worry about him because pretty soon they will be king and queen. The king says nothing, he just watches Jamashi as he goes. As he watches the young Jamashi go, the king steps forward dutifully and takes Maki's hand, and she disrobes him as well. Maki hands him a drink, which she says is for fertility, and the music gets even louder. The king smiles forcibly, and he seems to be enjoying it, even though something to him feels off, but something he cannot place. As all of this is going on, the doctor continues to work. The fact is, the doctor has not stopped working for many days. After a few more hours, he smiles. He finally has figured out the issue of creating planets, and he takes a break from staring at his charts and computer. As he looks out, he sees the people milling about in the forest. He scowls in disgust. Ilka sighs. They got more impudent when we cut down the power. They figured out that the electric deterrents that kept them out of the gardens were off. Should we have the guards cut them down? She asked. No need, the doctor said. They'll be gone soon anyway. And with that, the doctor put his calculations into the computer, and the black hole was born. Chapter 12. The doctor looked on as the black hole was born, growing and consuming even more power. What now? Ilka asked, starting to get worried. Now, I just enter a few more calculations and you, me, and our entire land, at least the parts that are worth saving, will be transported to the other side, where we will be true gods who determine how reality works. I thought I heard you were skeptical about this at first, Ilka said. I was a fool, the doctor said. A fool tied to my faulty DNA and anxiety. He punched a few more numbers into the black hole, and at once, the doctor, Ilka, and the laboratory disappeared. Then there was a loud bang, and then everything was silent. What happened? The king asked, looking out at the blank space where the lab used to be. It's probably just a hiccup, Maki said. No, come back to bed. It's not a hiccup, the king said. The power has been completely cut. And look up above. So the dome is collapsing, Maki said. Who cares? Come back to bed. The king walked out onto the balcony. As he did, he could feel the earth trembling beneath him, and the entire west wing of the palace sliding down to the ground. As he looked out at the forest, he could see the deer running along the edges of the once electrified wall and watching them shatter the dome that surrounded the city, meaning it was no longer electrified. Behind the deer, animals of every size and shape, as well as humans, all came running into the land of Or. The heathens, Maki said. They're surely here to steal our food, and we need to do something. We need to kill them. You will protect me, won't you? The king sighed. They are not here to hurt you or us. They don't care about us. You idiot, Maki said. These are not like the docile animals we know and have bred. These are feral savages, the mentally ill and defective. I'm going to take my chances, the king said. They're probably just hungry. Suit yourself, Maki said, but I am going to escape. There's a tunnel under the palace. Good luck, the king said, and waved goodbye. He found Jamashi still half asleep, even though his bed had plummeted 20 feet. What happened? Jamashi asked. I don't know, the king said, but it looks like the black hole didn't work out and swallowed the lab with it. And I guess I am no longer the king. If the electric stays off, our land will soon be overrun, Jamashi said. Yeah, the former king said. I should be worried, but somehow it all feels right. Ain't it great?